how truly honored I am to be here today to present to all of you, and how grateful I am to be a representative of the men and women that work in the oil and gas industry in California. Like Steve mentioned, my name is Tyson Bagley. I have been a part of the oil and gas industry for 12 years now. As a matter of fact, I got my start in the industry as a roughneck drilling for black oil right there in the fields west of Bakersfield and the fields outside of Ventura, California. I currently work for Phillips 66 in the Health and Safety Department at our Rodeo refinery in the Bay Area, California. I'm also our lead workforce representative for the facility and the union president for United Steelworkers Local 326. Before I get started on my presentation, I want to give you a brief perspective on myself and what led me to this industry. Like Steve mentioned, I'm a born and bred California native, and I grew up in Bakersfield, California, or what a lot of you might know as the home of Buck Owens and Merle Haggard. After graduating from high school, I attended Dallas Baptist University, where I played college baseball and graduated with a degree in business management. Following my college career, I was fortunate enough to live out my childhood dream of becoming a professional baseball player with the San Diego Padres. But once baseball ended, it was time to join the workforce. I tried a couple of other industries before embarking on my journey in the energy industry in California, and I must admit, it changed my life for the better. When I was leaving to go to work at 25 years old in the oil and gas industry, my father told me, when somebody asks you how they're treating you, you answer with, "You're treating me the way I'd let you treat me." And that's the way oil and gas workers in California need to start thinking. We have legislators in this state that seem to have low regard for this industry and what we do. We have extreme environmentalists that think we are the enemy. And I will tell you, we are not the enemy. We are the answer to the problem. We are the blue-collar professionals that work tirelessly 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, to meet the demands of the 40 million people that call California home. See, in California, we produce 463,000 barrels of oil per day out of the ground, but we consume 1.8 million barrels of oil per day. As you are aware, we have environmentalists and politicians that want to do away with oil extraction, refining, and our livelihoods. They want to ban this industry. And if they are successful, California, with now the fourth largest economy in the world, with 40 million people and 35 million cars, every single drop of oil will have to be imported from foreign countries. These are places like Russia and the Middle East. They're not friends of ours. In California, we produce energy the safest and most environmentally friendly way under the most strict of regulations. These other places are notorious for bad environmental practices, poor workplace safety, and the use of child labor to produce energy. As you are aware, this past summer, when prices at the pump reach in excess of $7 per gallon, be prepared to possibly pay $10 or more per gallon for gasoline if they are successful in ending this industry. These people need to realize that we are simply meeting the needs of California today. But tied to all this are the 366,000 men and women that work directly for this industry. We reject this. It is our American right to control our own destiny and infrastructure for energy and our means of transportation for the areas that we live and work in. And politicians and extreme environmentalists seem to think that working people of the oil and gas industry can be pushed to the side and that our jobs don't matter. And I don't care if it's the oil fields of California or the coal mines of Virginia. These politicians need to realize that we are the backbone of this country and this state. When they take off in an airplane and it speeds on down the runway, that fuel came from us, the blue-collar workers of the oil and gas industry. When they flip on their stove to cook a hot meal, that fuel also came from us. That was the driller who drilled that well and the pipeliner who got that fuel from the well to people's homes. When they flip on a switch, that electricity came from the sweat and labor of the blue-collar men and women of the oil and gas industry that built the natural gas plants and energy production facilities that we run and operate. We are the infrastructure of this country and this state. These political stances and fear-mongering activism from environmentalists that have no regard for us is something we need to fight and treat that way in elections. We need to hold these politicians accountable and their feet to the fire. We need to remember that this industry changes lives, not just for the people that use and buy our products, but for the 366,000 men and women that call this industry their career. For too long, our workers of this industry have gone without a voice at the table as they attempt to legislate us out of a job. What they need to remember is that we walk in the heat of the Central Valley or the snow of the Sierra Nevada mountains to get people elected. And when we get people elected, they seem to forget who we are. They wave at us from the rotunda of the Capitol and use fancy terms like just transition and green energy movement. If they want to help blue-collar workers of the oil and gas industry, they need to realize that a just transition is an unjust transition. With the struggle to keep a living wage in these times of high inflations, the struggle to keep medical insurance, the struggle to choose between gas and groceries, and the struggle to keep our jobs due to the extremist agenda at the state level, this is a struggle that the blue-collar workers of the oil and gas industry need to lead and fight every day. When you hear politicians or other people demonize an industry and our jobs, we need to tell them that we will not back down. We will not bow our heads. And we were going to continue to fight for our industry and our jobs that keep California moving. The oil and gas industry has provided me and the men and women who work in it with life-changing family wage careers. These careers provide us with opportunities to purchase homes, be single income providers for our families, and contribute positively to the state and country's economic advancements. We pride ourselves on inclusion and diversity. We employ veterans, people with GED to advanced degrees, varying socioeconomic backgrounds, and my personal favorite are those that sometimes need a second chance at life in the American dream. I have always believed that if you want to change people's lives for the better, you give them an opportunity to work and earn a living through a career. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is what this industry does, is it empowers people with careers. For the single mother who was working at the refinery, to the young man embarking on his first career in the oil fields after his release from the California correction system, and everyone else in between, we are proud of the work that we do and be the front line, essential employees that continue to answer the call for California's ever-increasing appetite for energy. In closing, I want to leave you with a quote from Mr. Frederick Douglass. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. You may not get all that you work for in this world, but you certainly work for all that you get. It is time for us as oil and gas workers to rise up and demand that our voices are heard and that we will not roll over and surrender our livelihoods or this industry. Thank you.